Are you blind or just incompetent? Chef Robert Stone towers over Nia Williams, his voice engineered to carry. Droplets of his signature saffron sauce splatter like blood evidence across her crisp white uniform. The $600 plate lies in fragments at her feet. I'm sorry, Chef, but you bumped into... Nia begins, her voice steady despite the public execution of her dignity. I bumped into you? Robert's laugh is theatrical, designed for his audience of wealthy patrons. Perhaps in whatever neighborhood you're from, the help blames the master when they fail. The dining room temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. A few uncomfortable chuckles ripple through the crowd while others avert their eyes, suddenly fascinated by their silverware. Actually, Nia starts again. Clean it up. Robert cuts her off, pointing to the mess with a ring-adorned finger. And be grateful we don't charge staff for breakage. This plate costs more than you make in a day. Nia drops to her knees, the fine shards of porcelain digging into her skin through her pants. The heavy scent of saffron and preserved lemon, incorrectly balanced, fills her nostrils as she collects each fragment. 6 years of culinary school, graduated top of her class, reduced to this. When you're done playing with broken dishes, Robert announces loud enough for nearby tables to hear, perhaps you can manage to bust table 7 without creating another catastrophe. His hand rests possessively on his cookbook displayed near the host stand. Stone's Spice, Culinary Journeys, with his smiling face surrounded by exotic ingredients he claims to have discovered. The same ingredients that lined Nia's grandmother's kitchen for generations. As Nia rises with the broken pieces cupped in her palms, Robert leans in, voice dropped to a menacing whisper. I know about your application for line cook, ambitious. But my kitchen requires more than ambition. It requires a certain caliber of talent. The implication hangs in the toxic air between them. Her phone vibrates in her pocket, her mother's medication reminder. The prescription slip feels like a stone weighing her down, anchoring her to this job, this humiliation. Behind them, a food critic from the Chicago Tribune raises an eyebrow, making a discreet note on her phone. The James Beard evaluator will be here in 3 weeks, Robert hisses. I won't let anyone, especially not you, compromise what I've built. As he strides away, Nia notices something he doesn't. His signature Ghanaian-inspired sauce reduction burning on the stove, the distinct acrid smell of incorrectly prepared spices cutting through the restaurant's carefully curated aroma. Her grandmother's voice echoes in memory. They think our food is simple because they don't understand its soul. The recipe card in Nia's pocket, handwritten, passed down 3 generations, suddenly feels warm against her skin, like an ember waiting to ignite. How long can true talent remain hidden when every instinct screams to be set free? Ma, you need to take these with food. Nia slides a bowl of jollof rice across the small kitchen table to her mother, who's already dressed for her night shift. The apartment is tiny but immaculate, walls adorned with photographs of Ghana and family members Nia barely remembers. Always fussing. Abena Williams swallows her diabetes medication with a grimace. This new doctor keeps adding pills but never solutions. The rice's aroma fills their kitchen. Tomatoes, garlic, ginger, and that particular blend of spices that Nia could identify blindfolded. Not the tourist version served at Ambrose, but the real thing, cooked with memory in her fingers. How's the fancy restaurant? Abena asks, studying her daughter's face. You don't talk about it much. Nia scrubs an already clean pot with unnecessary vigor. It pays the bills. Abena's knowing hum speaks volumes. Your grandmother would say you're collecting lessons, not just paychecks. My lesson today was how to be humiliated in front of Chicago's elite while smiling through it. Nia's laugh holds no humor. Chef Stone, she practically spits the name, makes Gordon Ramsay look like a kindergarten teacher. The one with the cookbook. I saw him on morning television. Abena points her fork accusingly, talking about his discoveries in West African cuisine as if our food was waiting in the jungle to be found by a white man. The memory of Robert's burning sauce flashes in Nia's mind. He doesn't even toast the grains before grinding, calls it authentic, but it's tourist food with fancy plating. Then show him better. And lose the only job that covers your medications? Nia shakes her head. I've tried that route before. Corrected a chef once at Lakeview Bistro, fired the same day for attitude problems. Abena reaches for her daughter's hand, her fingers warm and strong despite her illness. Your grandmother didn't cook for approval. She cooked because the truth lives in her food. The clock on the microwave blinks 10:47 p.m. 3 hours until Nia needs to sleep before tomorrow's double shift. Her mother rises for work, leaving her medication schedule magnetized to the refrigerator, a calendar of financial burden. 3 weeks until insurance review, Abena says softly, touching the calendar. If they deny the new treatment again. She leaves the sentence unfinished. After her mother leaves, Nia opens the bottom drawer of their hutch, pulling out a worn, leather-bound book. Her grandmother's recipes, not just ingredients and measurements, but stories and secrets. The margins filled with notes in 3 different handwritings spanning generations. Nia's fingers trace a particular recipe, grilled red snapper with crushed millet and fermented bean sauce, the dish that Robert claims as his signature creation. A memory surfaces. She's 7 years old, standing on a stool in her grandmother's kitchen in Chicago after they'd immigrated from Ghana. Feel the spice with your heart before your tongue, her grandmother instructs, guiding Nia's small hands through the motions of grinding spices, the textures changing beneath her fingers. Nia glances at the clock again. She should sleep, but her hands itch with purpose. She pulls ingredients from their modest pantry, some purchased, others grown on their tiny balcony garden. For the next 2 hours, Nia cooks, not from the book, but from memory embedded in her muscles, modernizing her grandmother's techniques with her culinary school precision. The knife feels like an extension of her hand as she transforms humble ingredients into art. When she finally plates the dish, a reimagined version of her grandmother's snapper, it looks nothing like the food she busses at Ambrose, yet contains infinitely more soul. Nia photographs it with her cracked phone screen, then sits alone at the table, tasting her heritage reborn. The perfect balance of heat, acid, sweetness, and depth brings unexpected tears to her eyes. Her phone alarm chimes, a reminder to apply for the line cook position that just opened at Ambrose. The deadline, tomorrow. The position would mean health insurance that would cover her mother's new treatment. Nia stares at her creation, then at the application form on her phone. 3 weeks until the insurance review. 3 weeks until the James Beard evaluation. The ticking clock of her mother's health and her own dreams count down in perfect, terrible synchronicity. Congratulations to Devin on his promotion to line cook, Robert announces to the assembled kitchen staff Monday morning. Polite applause follows as a young white man with 6 months' experience grins, accepting his new chef's coat with embroidered title. Nia's application sits unacknowledged in the system. Her face remains neutral while her stomach twists into knots. She'd submitted her resume with recommendations from 2 instructors at Le Cordon Bleu. Devin had graduated from a 6-month culinary program. Something to say? Robert asks, catching Nia's expression. No, chef. The words taste like ash. Congratulations, Devin. The morning prep continues with Nia assigned to vegetable station, technically Devin's old job, but without the title or pay increase. Her knife work is impeccable, turning carrots into perfect julienne, each piece identical to the millimeter. Elijah notices, raising an eyebrow at her technique. Where'd you learn to handle a knife like that? He whispers during service. My grandmother, Nia answers simply, not mentioning culinary school. Experience has taught her that credentials from her mouth sound like boasting. The day spirals downward when Robert assembles the team to discuss the upcoming James Beard evaluation. We've learned the evaluator is bringing Krista Chen, the food influencer. He projects her Instagram profile on the wall. 2 million followers, known for brutal takedowns of pretentious restaurants. She specifically requested our Ghanaian-inspired menu. Robert's forehead beads with sweat despite the kitchen's air conditioning. This is either our greatest opportunity or our downfall. We'll be doing test runs of the full menu each night until perfection. As the staff disperses, Naya's phone buzzes with a text from her mother. Insurance denied initial request for new treatment. Appeal filed. $12,000 out of pocket if denied again. The number hits like a physical blow. Naya steadies herself against the prep table, calculating hours and wages in her head. Even with this job and her weekend gig at the farmer's market, she'd need months to save that amount. Williams! Robert's voice snaps her back to reality. Since you're daydreaming instead of working, you can stay late to help with the test menu. After dinner service, Robert assembles a small team to prepare his signature dishes. Nia stands at the periphery, assigned to clean as they work. The aroma of incorrectly toasted grains fills the kitchen as Robert attempts his West African spice blend. Something's off, he mutters, tasting the sauce again. More cumin. Nia winces. The dish needs neither more cumin nor was cumin traditional to her grandmother's regional cooking. What it needs is proper technique. Toasting the grains before grinding, balancing the heat with fermented locust beans, a touch of dried fish for umami. Robert's frustration escalates as the dish continues to fail. This supplier sent inferior products, he declares, throwing the spice mixture into the trash. Williams, clean this station. We'll try again tomorrow. As Nia wipes down the counters, she notices Robert's cookbook open to the snapper recipe, her grandmother's dish with minor alterations. The acknowledgments page thanks the many cultural traditions that inspired this culinary journey, but names no specific individuals. Chef, Devin calls from across the kitchen. The restaurant critic from the Tribune left this for you. He hands over a business card with a handwritten note. Noticed some tension in your kitchen. Hope it doesn't affect your James Beard chances. Call me. Robert's face darkens as he reads. His eyes find Nia. Did you speak to anyone from the Tribune? His voice is dangerously quiet. No, Chef. Because it would be unfortunate if someone were sabotaging our chances right before the biggest evaluation of our careers. He steps closer, towering over her. The kind of unfortunate that makes people unemployable in this city. The threat hangs in the air between them. Nia thinks of her mother's medication, the $12,000 price tag, the appeal that could take weeks to process. I would never sabotage any kitchen I work in, she says, meeting his gaze directly. That's not who I am or how I was taught. And who taught you? Some community college cooking class? His dismissal is casual, cutting. Before Nia can respond, Robert's phone rings. He walks away to answer, leaving Nia with his open cookbook and the failed sauce. Without thinking, her fingers reach for the spices, automatically adjusting proportions, adding a pinch of her own blend kept in a small container in her pocket. What are you doing? Elijah's voice startles her. He's been watching from across the kitchen. Nia freezes, caught between instinct and self-preservation. Nothing, just cleaning. Elijah approaches, studying the modified spice mixture. That's not what Chef was using. No, Nia admits quietly. It's not. Elijah glances toward Robert, still occupied with his call, then back to Nia. Show me, he whispers. The test of trust hangs between them. Nia hesitates, then quickly toasts the grains in a small, dry pan, releasing their essential oils before grinding them with deft movements. She adds her own spice blend, works in the proper base ingredients, and in less than 5 minutes creates a sauce that smells like her childhood home. Elijah's eyes widen as he takes the smallest taste. Holy shit, he whispers. That's what it should taste like, Nia finishes. The sound of Robert ending his call sends them both back to their assigned tasks. Elijah dumps the evidence of Nia's creation down the drain just as Robert returns, face flushed with anger. That was the owner, he announces. Tribune article mentions kitchen tension at Ambrose. He's concerned about our image before the evaluation. His eyes land on Nia like a physical weight. Someone's getting fired if this evaluation doesn't go perfectly. I promise you that. As Nia finally leaves the restaurant at 1 a.m., a notification appears on her phone. Final notice: health insurance appeal requires documentation within 5 business days or case will be closed. The ticking clock grows louder with each passing hour. Late-night cleaning shifts offer unexpected privacy. After 3 days of watching Robert struggle with his signature dishes, Nia stays behind, ostensibly to deep clean the walk-in refrigerator. The restaurant stands empty at 2 a.m., moonlight filtering through high windows. She slides Robert's cookbook from its display stand, the glossy cover catching the light. Her fingers trace the recipe that's been haunting her: West African snapper with toasted grain sauce, as she compares it to the memory of her grandmother's instructions. "I knew it," she whispers, anger and vindication colliding as she flips to the acknowledgments page. No mention of Ghana beyond generic references to African culinary traditions. No names of the women whose techniques fill these pages. Her phone serves as a flashlight as she photographs specific recipes, then searches online for information about Robert Stone. Articles appear: his rise to fame, television appearances, rave reviews. But one small headline catches her eye: Stone's Global Inspiration Journey, the Ghana Connection. The article, dated 15 years ago, mentions a young Robert traveling through West Africa, spending 3 months in Accra, absorbing local cooking methods from neighborhood kitchens. A grainy photo shows him standing outside a small restaurant, her grandmother's restaurant. The taste of betrayal is metallic in her mouth. Her grandmother's innovations, her techniques perfected over decades, repackaged as a white man's discoveries. "Find anything interesting?" The voice startles her so badly, she nearly drops the phone. Elijah stands in the doorway, his chef's coat exchanged for a t-shirt. "I thought everyone left." Nia closes the cookbook, guilt and defiance warring within her. "Forgot my bus pass." He gestures to her phone, still displaying the article. "So now you know." "Know what?" "That our celebrity chef is a fraud." Elijah steps closer, lowering his voice though no one else is present. "I've suspected since I started here. His techniques don't match his recipes. He can talk about flavor profiles all day, but when he cooks," he shrugs, "it's like someone who memorized a language without understanding it." Nia's defenses remain high. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I saw what you did with that sauce." Elijah pulls out his phone, showing her a surreptitiously recorded video of her cooking 3 nights ago. That wasn't improvisation. That was mastery. The silence between them stretches, filled with unspoken questions. "My grandmother owned a restaurant in Accra," Nia finally says. "These recipes," she taps the cookbook, "they're hers. Modified, simplified for Western palates, but the core techniques, the soul of them," her voice breaks slightly, "he never credited her. Any of them." "Your grandmother taught you?" It's not a question, but Nia nods anyway. "Since I was tall enough to reach the stove with a step stool, then culinary school to refine the techniques." "Le Cordon Bleu, Chicago," Elijah says, surprising her. "I saw your application in the system. Top of your class. Robert accidentally deleted it." The confirmation of what she'd suspected lands like a physical blow. "I need this job," she says simply. "My mother's treatment." "I know." Elijah's expression softens. "My sister has lupus. Medical bills are why I'm still here despite—" He gestures vaguely at the kitchen, at Robert's station. A new alliance forms in the quiet moonlight of the empty restaurant. "The James Beard evaluation is in 12 days, Elijah says. Robert's panicking because he can't replicate the dishes properly. The owner's worried, the Tribune critic is watching, and that influencer specifically requested his African-inspired menu. Which he can't actually cook," Nia finishes. Not like you can. Elijah's eyes hold a conspiratorial gleam. I've been documenting everything. The favoritism, the deleted applications, the corners he cuts when critics aren't around. He scrolls through his phone, showing dozens of dated entries and photos. I was going to write an expose after finding another job, but this evaluation might be a better opportunity. For what? Alarm bells ring in Nia's mind. I can't risk getting fired. Maybe you won't have to. Elijah leans against the counter. What if there was a way to showcase your skills without directly challenging him? The owner cares about one thing, that star. If Robert fails, but the restaurant succeeds, the seed of possibility takes root. Nia thinks of her grandmother's wisdom. Never announce your talent. Simply display it when the moment demands truth. The influencer, Nia says slowly, pieces falling into place. Krista Chen. She's known for capturing behind-the-scenes moments, not just final dishes. And she's bringing her camera crew, Elijah confirms. Live streaming to 2 million followers. For the first time in months, hope flickers in Nia's chest. Dangerous, fragile hope. I need to practice, she says, decision made. Perfect the dishes the way they should be made. I can get you the evaluation menu tomorrow. Elijah's excitement is palpable, and I'll make sure you're stationed where you need to be that day. As they finalize their nascent plan, Nia's phone buzzes with an email notification. Insurance appeal update. Documentation received. Final decision in 10 days. 10 days. Just before the evaluation. The universe's timing could be cruelly perfect or perfectly cruel. Either way, the clock continues its relentless countdown. Dawn filters through the small balcony window as Nia's hands move with practiced precision. The kitchen timer reads 4:30 a.m., 2 hours before her shift starts. Sleep has become a luxury she can no longer afford. Her kitchen counter displays a meticulous arrangement of spices and ingredients, sourced from 3 different specialty markets across Chicago. Fermentation takes time, she murmurs to herself, examining the small batch of locust bean paste. 5 days since she started the preparation, following her grandmother's instructions from memory. The pungent aroma fills the tiny kitchen, earthy, complex, essential for authenticity. The evaluation menu Elijah provided sits on her tablet, stained with oil and spice fingerprints. 6 dishes, 3 of which are directly lifted from her family's culinary heritage. The red snapper dish is designated as the centerpiece, the one Robert claims revolutionized African-inspired cuisine. Nia's phone alarm interrupts her practice, time to wake her mother for medication and prepare for work. As she wipes down her workspace, exhaustion settles into her bones, a constant companion these days. You've been up all night again, Abena observes from the doorway, her nurse's scrubs already on. The kitchen smells like home. Just practicing, Nia says, closing her spice containers. Abena touches the snapper dish Nia has prepared, still warm. Your grandmother would be proud. This is her voice speaking through your hands. Let's hope someone actually listens this time. Nia's smile doesn't reach her eyes. Insurance update? Nothing yet. Abena swallows her morning pills with practiced efficiency. 10 more days until the final appeal decision. If denied... She doesn't finish the sentence. They both know what it means. The restaurant kitchen hums with heightened tension. 7 days until evaluation. Robert stalks between stations, criticizing everything, his face perpetually flushed. Today's test run of the evaluation menu has the entire staff on edge. Where's the Berbera spice mix? Robert shouts, rifling through the spice shelf. And who changed the organization system? No one answers. Nia keeps her head down, meticulously brunoise cutting vegetables with machine-like precision. Devon struggles at the fish station, clearly overwhelmed by the promotion he wasn't ready for. Williams! Robert's voice cuts through the kitchen noise. Stop whatever you're doing and help Devon before he destroys our entire fish order. It's an unexpected opportunity. Naya takes position beside Devon, who looks relieved for the assistance. Thanks, he whispers. I'm drowning here. Start with proper butchering, she says quietly, taking the knife. Her hands move with fluid grace, breaking down the red snapper with minimal waste. Devon watches, eyes widening at her technique. Where did you learn to— Focus on the task, Naya interrupts, aware of Robert watching from across the kitchen. Score the skin like this to prevent curling. For 20 minutes, she guides Devon through proper fish preparation, conscious of Robert's increasingly suspicious gaze. When the executive chef finally approaches, Naya steps back, allowing Devon to take credit for the perfectly prepped ingredients. Better, Robert concedes, examining the fish. At least you can follow instructions. The backhanded compliment intended for Devon lands like a slap. Naya says nothing, returning to her vegetable station. Later, during the test dinner, Robert's attempt at the signature sauce fails again. The kitchen fills with the acrid smell of improperly toasted grains and over-toasted spices. His frustration manifests in thrown utensils and blistering criticism of everyone in range. This supplier is garbage, he fumes, blaming the ingredients rather than his technique. We need to simplify this dish for the evaluation. Strip it down. Elijah catches Nia's eye across the kitchen. They both know simplifying will only highlight Robert's lack of understanding. The dish requires proper technique, not fewer components. Chef, Elijah ventures carefully, the influencer specifically requested the authentic version from your cookbook. Her followers are expecting that signature dish. Robert's face darkens. Then we'll give her what she expects. Devon, you'll handle the fish for the evaluation. I'll personally prepare the sauce. He glares around the kitchen. Anyone who can't perform at the highest level next week shouldn't bother coming in at all. The threat hangs in the air, settling over the staff like a cold mist. 5 days before the evaluation, disaster strikes. Naya arrives for her shift to find the kitchen in chaos. Robert stands in the center, face contorted with rage, holding her small container of personal spice blend. Who brought unauthorized ingredients into my kitchen? He demands, unscrewing the cap to smell the contents. This isn't regulation. This is a health code violation. Naya freezes by the door, heart hammering against her ribs. The container had been securely tucked in her locker, which means someone searched her belongings. It's a family recipe, she says, stepping forward to claim it. Nothing illegal, just pre-mixed spices for my lunch. Robert's eyes narrow. You expect me to believe you use this level of quality for staff meal? He dips a finger in, tastes it, and his expression shifts momentarily. Recognition, followed quickly by suspicion. This is similar to my signature blend. Many West African spice blends share common elements, Naya counters, careful to keep her voice neutral. My grandmother was from Ghana. A calculating look crosses Robert's face. How interesting. Perhaps that's why you've been so interested in my cookbook. He pockets the spice container. This stays confiscated. And you're on bathroom cleaning duty today, away from food preparation. The demotion is meant to humiliate, but the loss of her grandmother's spice blend hurts more deeply. That mixture took days to prepare properly, with ingredients hand-carried from her grandmother's last trip home. Elijah finds her later, scrubbing toilets with angry determination. He's getting suspicious, he warns. Changed the evaluation schedule too, moved it up 2 days. It's now the same day as the owner's monthly visit. He took my spices, Naya says, voice tight with controlled fury. My grandmother's blend. I know. Elijah slips her a small container. I saved some when we were practicing. Not much, but enough for one dish if needed. The gesture brings unexpected tears to Nia's eyes. Thank you. There's more, Elijah continues, voice lower. He's rearranged the kitchen layout for evaluation day. You're stationed as far from the fish station as possible. Naya's hard-won hope begins to crumble. So our plan, Needs adjustment. Elijah shows her the new kitchen map on his phone. But I have an idea. The owner cares about impressing the evaluator and influencer. If Robert fails spectacularly enough with everyone watching, then what? I'm supposed to swoop in and save the day? Naya's laugh holds no humor. That only works in movies, Elijah. Sometimes life needs a cinematic moment. His confidence is unwavering. Be ready. I'll create an opportunity. You just need the courage to seize it. As Nia returns to scrubbing floors, her phone vibrates with a final insurance notification. Appeal decision expedited due to medical urgency. Final determination in 5 days. 5 days. Now matching exactly with the evaluation. The universe's twisted symmetry feels almost deliberate in its cruelty. That night, working by memory alone, Nia recreates her grandmother's spice blend from scratch, staying awake until dawn to toast, grind, and balance each component to perfection. Her hands move with the certainty of inherited knowledge, preparing for a moment that might never come. Some battles choose you, her grandmother used to say. Your only choice is whether to fight with everything you have or surrender what makes you who you are. Sleep-deprived but resolute, Nia tucks the new spice blend into a hidden pocket she sews into her uniform. This time, no one will take it from her. The kitchen of Ambrose vibrates with controlled chaos. Staff members move with military precision, each focused on their assigned tasks with the hyper-awareness that comes from knowing everything must be perfect. The James Beard evaluator, a tall woman with an impeccable gray suit and an unreadable expression, sits at table 9. Beside her, Krista Chen adjusts her phone on a small tripod, the red recording light like a warning beacon. Live streaming to my followers, Krista announces to the owner, who hovers nervously nearby. They're excited for an authentic, behind-the-scenes look at Chef Stone's famous African-inspired cuisine. In the kitchen, Robert straightens his pristine white jacket, the very image of culinary authority. Final check on all stations, he commands, voice steady despite the beads of sweat at his temples. Nothing leaves this kitchen without my approval. Nia stands at her assigned position, vegetable prep, far from the action, exactly as Robert planned. The hidden pocket of her uniform holds the spice blend, a small weight against her hip like a secret weapon waiting to be deployed. Her phone rests in her pocket, silent since the morning's devastating news. Insurance appeal denied. Payment plan options attached. 5 minutes to first course, calls the expediter. Robert personally oversees each plate, making minute adjustments before allowing them to pass. The first 2 courses proceed flawlessly, elevated versions of American classics with subtle, global influences that require little authentic technique. Then comes the moment of truth, the signature red snapper dish. Devon, begin fish preparation, Robert orders, turning to his own station where the components for his famous sauce await. Nia watches from her position, heart pounding as Robert combines ingredients. Even from a distance, she can see he's following the cookbook's simplified instructions, not the authentic technique required. The grains go directly into the mixture without proper toasting. The balance of spices is visibly wrong. Too much cumin, not enough fenugreek, missing the fermented undertones that give the dish its soul. Robert tastes the developing sauce, a flash of panic crossing his features before he masks it with professional confidence. He adds more salt, then more chili, compensating for fundamental flaws with heat and seasoning. Elijah catches Nia's eye across the kitchen, a silent question. She gives an imperceptible nod. Whatever happens next, she's ready. The expediter calls, 10 minutes to signature dish service. Devon struggles with the snapper, overcooking one side while trying to achieve the perfect sear. Robert notices too late, cursing under his breath as he takes over, but the damage is done. The fish is compromised and the sauce still tastes wrong, a reality confirmed by Robert's increasingly desperate adjustments. Chef, the influencer is doing a kitchen walkthrough, the maitre d' announces from the doorway. She wants to capture the final preparation of your signature dish. Robert's knuckles whiten around his spoon. Delay her 5 minutes. She's already on her way, chef. The owner approved it. Krista Chen enters the kitchen, phone held high, capturing every moment for her millions of followers. Chef Stone, so excited to see the master at work on the dish that put you on the culinary map. Robert forces a media-perfect smile, positioning himself to block the view of the struggling sauce. Just putting the final touches on my West African-inspired creation. Krista moves closer, her camera capturing details Robert can't hide. The broken sauce, the overcooked fish, the rising panic in his eyes masked by practiced charm. That aroma is interesting, Krista comments, her influencer's diplomacy barely concealing her disappointment. Different from what I expected based on your cookbook description. The complexity develops in the final moments, Robert claims, adding more ingredients haphazardly, making the situation worse with each addition. Elijah chooses this moment to create the promised opportunity. He accidentally bumps into a sous chef, causing a metal bowl to crash spectacularly to the floor. The sound reverberates through the kitchen, drawing all eyes, including Robert's. "Clean that up immediately," Robert snaps, momentarily distracted by the commotion. It's a 3-second window. Nia makes her decision. She moves with fluid grace born from thousands of hours of practice, slipping between stations to reach the failing sauce. Her hands work with lightning speed, removing the pan from heat, straining out the salvageable base components, and rebuilding with precise additions from her hidden spice blend. Muscle memory guides her, toasting the reserved grains in a separate pan for 30 seconds, grinding them fresh, incorporating them with the fermented paste component that Robert always omits. The transformation happens in under a minute. The sauce's color deepens. Its aroma shifts from acrid to complex and enticing. Nia steps back just as Robert turns around, but not quickly enough. "What are you doing at my station?" he demands, rage and fear battling in his expression. The kitchen falls silent. Krista's camera captures everything, the red recording light unwavering. "The sauce was breaking," Nia says simply. "I was trying to help." Robert tastes the transformed sauce, confusion crossing his features as the flavor registers. Perfect, authentic, better than anything he's ever created. His eyes meet Nia's with dawning comprehension and fury. "You tampered with my recipe," he accuses, voice low but intense. "No," Nia replies, finding courage in truth. "I restored it." Krista moves closer, camera still recording. "This looks like a dramatic improvement, chef. What did your assistant do to save the sauce?" "She didn't," Robert begins, but Krista is already dipping a tasting spoon into the sauce. Her expression transforms with the first taste. Surprise, then genuine appreciation. "This is incredible. So different from what you were making a moment ago. The depth, the balance." She turns to Nia. "What's your name? What did you do to create this transformation?" Before Robert can intervene, Nia speaks directly to the camera. "I use the authentics technique from my grandmother's kitchen in Ghana. Proper toasting of the grains, traditional fermentation methods, balance of heat and complexity." "Your grandmother's from Ghana?" Krista's journalistic instincts engage. "The same region Chef Stone visited for inspiration?" "The same restaurant, actually." Nia reaches into her pocket, producing her grandmother's worn recipe card alongside a printout of the article showing Robert outside her family's establishment. "My grandmother was Afua Mensa of Accra's Garden Spice Restaurant." Recognition dawns on Krista's face. The name means something to her. The Garden Spice. That was legendary among food travelers. Your grandmother was Afua Mensa? Robert's face drains of color as the pieces fall into place for everyone watching, both in the kitchen and on the live stream where comments are exploding. "This sauce," Nia continues, her voice gaining strength with each word, "requires technique that can't be simplified or shortcut. The authentic method produces what you're tasting now." The James Beard evaluator has entered the kitchen, drawn by the commotion. Is there a problem with the signature dish? She asks, her professional tone undercut by genuine curiosity. No problem, the owner interjects smoothly, reading the room and making a swift business calculation. Just an exciting culinary collaboration happening in real time. Chef Stone mentors diverse talent in his kitchen, encouraging authentic cultural contributions. Robert opens his mouth to protest, but the owner's warning glance silences him. The live stream audience has doubled in the past minute, comments flooding in about cultural appropriation and authentic technique. Perhaps, the owner continues, seizing control of the narrative, Ms. Williams can demonstrate the authentic technique for our special guests? It's not really a question. Nia nods, hyper-aware of the camera following her every move as she completes the dish properly, explaining each step, each ingredient, each technique her grandmother perfected over decades. Her hands move with absolute confidence, muscle memory taking over as she plates the dish with both technical precision and artistic flair. When the completed dish is presented to the James Beard evaluator and Krista, their appreciation is immediate and genuine. The evaluator takes meticulous notes while Krista narrates for her audience, camera capturing the perfect sear on the fish, the complex sauce, the harmonious balance of the entire presentation. This, Krista declares to her millions of followers, is what authentic culinary heritage looks like when honored properly. Not appropriated, but shared with respect and proper attribution. Robert stands frozen, watching his carefully constructed reputation crumble in real time. The kitchen staff has abandoned any pretense of work, witnessing the long overdue reckoning. Chef Stone, the evaluator says finally, her tone measured but pointed. Perhaps you could explain the disparity between your published technique and what we've just witnessed from Ms. Williams? The silence stretches for 3 excruciating seconds. Then Robert does what desperate men do. He attacks. She sabotaged my sauce, he claims, voice rising. This was a setup to humiliate me. Williams has had an attitude problem since she started here. Ask anyone. No one comes to his defense. Not even Devon. The live stream shows what happened quite clearly, Krista notes, replaying the footage where Naya saved the failing sauce. Your dish was breaking down before she stepped in. Let's be absolutely clear, the evaluator says, addressing the room at large. Authentic technique and proper cultural attribution are central to how we evaluate culinary excellence. The James Beard Foundation has been working to address historical inequities in recognition. She turns to Nia. Your grandmother was Afua Mensah? Her restaurant was documented in our African Diaspora Culinary Heritage Project last year. She's cited as a pioneer in bringing authentic Ghanaian techniques to America. The validation, public, professional, undeniable, washes over Nia like warm rain. Years of hiding her talent, of swallowing corrections when chefs mangled techniques she'd mastered as a child, culminate in this moment of pure truth. I think, says the owner, a businessman above all else, we have an opportunity to right a historical oversight. Ms. Williams, would you consider taking a more prominent role in our kitchen, developing an authentic heritage menu with proper attribution? The offer hangs in the air. Visibility, recognition, proper pay, benefits that would cover her mother's treatment. Everything Nia has worked for, delivered through a twist of fate and her own courage to seize the moment. Robert's face contorts with the final indignity. This is my kitchen, he hisses, too quietly for the camera to catch. You're nothing but a... Chef Stone, the owner cuts him off with steel beneath his cordial tone. I believe we need to discuss your contract in private now. As Robert is led away, Elijah steps forward, phone in hand. I have documentation of Chef Stone's systematic discrimination in hiring and promotion, he tells the owner quietly, and deletion of qualified applications based on race. The Tribune might find it interesting. The owner's smile tightens. Perhaps we should include you in our discussion about the kitchen's future direction. Through it all, Krista's live stream continues, comments flooding in with support for Naya, demands for justice, and calls for proper attribution of cultural culinary contributions. The digital verdict is clear and immediate. Authenticity has won the day. The red snapper, perfectly prepared, sits at the center of it all, a dish that finally speaks its true heritage through hands that honor its origins. The hashtag kitchen justice trends nationwide by midnight. Clips from Krista's live stream replay across social media platforms, food blogs, and morning shows. The moment Nia transformed the failing sauce juxtaposed with her calm explanation of her grandmother's techniques, captioned with variations of "watch until the end" and "justice served hot." In her apartment, Nia sits beside her mother on their worn couch, still in disbelief as they scroll through the avalanche of responses. "Your grandmother is looking down right now, laughing with joy," Abena says, wiping tears from her eyes. "She always said your hands carried her legacy." Nia's phone hasn't stopped buzzing with notifications. Interview requests, culinary schools seeking guest instructors, publishers inquiring about cookbook rights. But the message that matters most came from Ambrose's owner an hour after the evaluation. Position of chef de cuisine, authentic heritage program. Full benefits effective immediately. Salary attached. The figure nearly made her drop the phone, more than double her current pay with health insurance that would cover her mother's treatment without question. "I still can't believe it happened like that," Nia whispers. "If Elijah hadn't created that distraction..." "No," Abena squeezes her daughter's hand. "If you hadn't prepared for years, if you hadn't perfected your craft despite every obstacle, no moment of opportunity would have mattered." The morning brings a flurry of developments. Robert Stone's carefully crafted public image unravels as food journalists dig deeper, uncovering other instances of uncredited inspiration throughout his career. 3 former employees come forward with stories of discrimination similar to Nia's experience. By afternoon, Robert issues a carefully worded public apology through his publicist, acknowledging oversight in proper attribution, and announcing a step back to reflect on inclusivity in culinary spaces. The statement mentions neither Nia nor her grandmother by name. The Tribune publishes a feature article 2 days later, "Hidden Hands, the Uncredited Architects of American Cuisine," featuring Nia's story alongside others. The writer connects her experience to the broader pattern of cultural appropriation in the food world, where techniques and recipes from immigrant communities are discovered and monetized by white chefs who receive the accolades and profits. Nia keeps the article folded in her grandmother's recipe book. 1 week after the evaluation, Nia walks into Ambrose's kitchen wearing a chef's coat with her name embroidered beneath the title Chef de Cuisine. The staff, many who once ignored her, now greet her with newfound respect. "The owner wants to see you," Elijah tells her, now officially sous chef after his own promotion. "Apparently, the reservation list is booked solid for 2 months since the video went viral." In the office, the owner doesn't waste time on pleasantries. "The James Beard Foundation called," he says, gesturing for Nia to sit. "The evaluator was impressed not just with your cooking, but with your knowledge of cultural history and technique." He slides a letter across the desk. "They're creating a new recognition category for their awards next year. Culinary Heritage Preservation. They want you on the advisory committee." Nia's fingers trace the official letterhead, her grandmother's voice echoing in memory. "Our food carries our history when nothing else can. When they try to erase us, we persist through flavor." "There's more," the owner continues. "We've received inquiries about a potential cookbook deal, your grandmother's recipes with your modern interpretations. Properly credited, of course." He names a major publisher and an advance figure that would pay off her mother's medical bills entirely. "And what about Robert?" Nia asks, the question that's been hanging in the air since that day. The owner's expression hardens slightly. "Chef Stone has decided to pursue other opportunities. His contract termination agreement includes a non-disparagement clause, but also a mandatory cultural attribution workshop before he works in any establishment I'm connected with. Justice, imperfect but substantial. More than Nia expected in an industry that typically closes ranks around its stars." We'd like you to redesign the menu, the owner continues. An authentic heritage program telling the story of each dish through its cultural origins. Proper attribution, proper technique, proper respect. 3 months later, Ambrose has transformed. The walls now feature photographs of culinary pioneers from various traditions, including a prominent image of Afua Mensah in her Accra restaurant. Each menu includes the story behind key dishes, naming the cultures and specific individuals who developed the techniques. The kitchen culture has shifted too. Nia has instituted a mentorship program, prioritizing immigrant and first-generation American cooks with traditional knowledge but limited professional opportunities. The James Beard star the owner coveted now hangs by the entrance, alongside a certificate from a new organization dedicated to culinary heritage preservation. Krista Chen returns to film a follow-up segment, this time scheduled and welcomed. "You've started something important," she tells Naya as they tour the transformed kitchen. "3 other major restaurant groups have contacted me about implementing similar attribution programs." After the interview, Nia finds a quiet moment alone in the kitchen before dinner service. She opens her grandmother's recipe book, now proudly displayed in a glass case near her station rather than hidden in her pocket. The pages fall open to the red snapper recipe, margins filled with 3 generations of handwritten notes. She's added her own notes now, continuing the evolution while maintaining the core techniques that give the dish its soul. On the kitchen counter, a small potted herb garden contains cuttings from her grandmother's original plants, transported from Ghana decades ago and kept alive through years of displacement and struggle. Abena visits the kitchen, her health improved with proper treatment, watching her daughter lead the pre-service meeting with quiet authority. "Your grandmother once told me," Abena says later as they share a quiet moment, "that our traditions survive when we refuse to let them be stolen or erased. When we insist on proper acknowledgement, we're not just fighting for ourselves, but for everyone who came before and everyone who will come after." The dinner service begins, the kitchen moving with the synchronized precision that Nia has cultivated. Each dish that leaves her kitchen carries not just flavor, but heritage, not just technique, but history. Each plate tells a story that can no longer be appropriated or erased. As Nia finalizes a perfect plate of her grandmother's red snapper, now properly named Afua Mensah's Ghana Coast snapper, a young prep cook watches with undisguised admiration. "Chef Williams," the young woman asks hesitantly, "would you consider teaching me that technique someday? My mother cooked something similar, but I never learned properly before she passed." Naya recognizes the hunger in the young woman's eyes, not just for food, but for connection to what came before, for heritage reclaimed and honored. "Not someday," Naya answers, gesturing her closer. "Right now. Watch my hands first, then you'll try." As she demonstrates the proper technique, Naya realizes that this, the passing of knowledge with proper attribution and respect, is perhaps the most meaningful justice of all. Not just the public recognition or the professional accolades, but ensuring that the chain of cultural knowledge remains unbroken, that stories told through food continue their journey forward. The walls that once confined talent can become tables where everyone is seated with dignity, where no voice is silenced and no contribution erased. Some walls aren't meant to be accepted, they're meant to be transformed. Did this story of courage, justice, and cultural reclamation move you? There are countless more untold stories of triumph waiting to inspire you. At Beat Stories, we bring you powerful narratives of underdogs rising against all odds, of hidden talents finally receiving their rightful recognition, and of moments that change lives forever. Don't miss another empowering story. Subscribe to Beat Stories right now by clicking the button below, and hit that like button if Nia's journey resonated with you. Join our community of story lovers who believe in the power of authentic voices and justice served.
This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of what happens when truth meets visibility. At Beat Stories, we believe exposure is the first step to transformation. Subscribe and stay tuned because the next story might be yours.